It never gets old. It never gets old, guys. Welcome back to the Creatures of the Night. My name is Chris. I'm 1/3 of the Tigers in the yard tonight. Coming to talk to you about all the weird shit that you love. Joined to my right is Monica Lewinsky himself, the Lord Shogun of Hogun, Jason Elmy.
What up? Thank you for that wonderful introduction, my magnificent friend, my beautiful sex curly friend. You're right. I'm Monica Lewinsky. I'm happy to be the second third of the Creatures of the Night, pounding my chest and shit, covered in chest hair. I'm ready to fuck shit up tonight because I got with me our third friend, our third musketeer, right below us, down there, Mr. Adam motherfucking Simmons. What's good, dog?
Greetings, boys. How are you?
Good to be back.
Crack them open.
Good to be
I'm
back.
into it.
Caffeine is hitting and I'm ready to go.
I fucking love it. I have ingested at least 500 milligrams of caffeine this evening already.
Thought you were going to say THC.
No, I mean, I got as you saw during the intro, I got my little robot weenie. As you said, we are the Creatures of the Night. I am the third, I guess, if we're all doing math here, we're making a fucking equation. The Creatures of the Night. We're here to ask questions, and we're here to get to the bottom of some fucking weird shit.
And I'll tell you, we're not here to do math. I dropped out of high school so I wouldn't have to do math.
Yeah, fuck doing math ever. But tonight is one of those special nights where we just have an open-ended episode, not really a topic. In part, we're going to probably go over some DB Cooper stuff. Maybe we'll go over some JFK stuff. We're going to make a couple of calls to a couple of friends. We're going to have some calls from a couple of friends. We got some voicemails. We got some write-ins. We got a whole litany of magnificence that we will thrust upon ye this evening. And if you're just tuning in now, give us a call at 813-773-5706. Come talk about some weird shit. Jay, what do we have on the docket so far this evening?
You know, we've been preparing a lot of special topics over the last several weeks. I think one thing that most folks don't get to see is a window into our creative process as Creatures of the Night. And it may not seem like it when you're watching these episodes, but we actually do put a pretty good amount of preparation in these episodes. Yeah. You think we're just wild assholes who show up and yell into a mic. That's also true. But Adam, I mean, we do some research. We're constantly in touch with each other. We're constantly on all of the news sites trying to keep our fingers on the pulse of what's happening now. And tonight's the night that we got to get together and we got to talk about some of the bullshit that we've been dealing with over the last.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of madness going on. And the last couple of episodes that we've had in the last couple of weeks, we've been blessed to have two of the best guests that we've ever had.
Oh, yeah.
Dave Weiss and Amy Belair, who have just blown our minds and blown the doors off of the Creatures and the community that follows us. We've gotten more feedback and more communication with the people that listen to the show. Thank you so much. But we've had if we had a desk, we would have documents stacked to the brim about stuff that we want to talk about. Yep. Not short of which is, interdimensional time traveling, space jumps, or, Bigfoot, or, the vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson's vaccine. We like DB Cooper. We got fucking JFK. We got this. We got that. There's all types of shit that we want to talk about. So we figured we would just throw them all together. Just come on in and, hit us up. Let us know what you want to talk about. If you have any questions. Thank you, Glenn Whalen. Glenn Whalen, do us a favor. Just fucking call in. Talk about some weird shit. You want to talk about the Akashic Records, dog? You want to talk about fucking going into a NASCAR pit in your brain? Hit us up. Let us know.
I mean, we've been doing some research, as we both alluded to lately. We've been looking into like DB Cooper as a topic because there's really some fantastic shit coming out about how he could actually be a time travel. Like that whole thing was fun enough to reminisce about, but like, could it be a time traveling Baron Trump? Who knows? I mean, we want to dig into that
for sure. 100%. That's
accident. We stumbled on that 100% by happenstance, dude. We were talking about Baron Trump and that whole thing with that 1800s novel or whatever it was, pulled up some pictures and we're like, holy shit, looks like DB Cooper.
Dudes
Well,
look the same.
here's the thing. He has more of a shot at being DB Cooper than like Kenny Christensen or Walt Recca. Both of those guys, I think, they have claims. And I mean, historically speaking, that's who people, those are the main two names of like who could be DB Cooper, Dan Cooper, so explain to me who DB Cooper is, like who Dan Cooper is allegedly as a person.
So I've pulled up my notes here that I shared with you guys earlier. And so just to set the stage a little bit, the DB Cooper shit went down on November 24th, 1971. Okay, so we're coming up. This year is what, the 50th anniversary year, and that's why I think DB Cooper's been kind of coming up a little bit more in the zeitgeist. But this was the night before
that, and his dad was the president. So
also, dad was the president. But that's, I mean, spoiler alert. By the way, DB Cooper is Barron Trump. Everybody. But we're gonna get to that. We're gonna fill in the gaps like a Quentin Tarantino movie. You've just seen the end. Now we're gonna get you there, and we're gonna show you how this shit goes down. So he chose the night before Thanksgiving to do this heist because
1 day before my birthday, by the way, November 24th.
You don't look 50 at all. You don't.
I know. You know what it is? It's the adrenochrome. It's keeping me young.
Yeah, that's why he had to hijack all that money. By the way, is he needed that money for the adrenochrome? That shit ain't cheap. Unless
he needed the money to build a time machine so that he can make his dad the president, so that he can make more money on investments and property in New York.
Yeah. So he never referred to himself as DB Cooper. I heard you a second ago call him Dan Cooper. That's actually the name that he used when he purchased his plane ticket, when he checked in at the airport, purchased his plane ticket. And that Dan Cooper is the name of a fictional Canadian military ace pilot who appeared in these Franco-Belgian comics published by this magazine Tintin.
They're Weinberg works, right? Like Tintin, the
little kid, the little Johnny Quest looking kid that flies around.
Dude, I love Tintin. I fucks with Tintin hard.
I like it, man.
Tintin. So it's speculated that DB Cooper used this name Dan Cooper because he was familiar with these comics, which would suggest that possibly he's French Canadian. But he didn't have
it happened in the Northwest, right? So it's close.
Yeah, but it's like Northwest. Where's French Canada? That's more like
Quebec in them.
Yeah, like that's more Eastern Canada. But regardless, they said he didn't have an accent. He sounded like a regular American. So chances are good English was his first language. They speculate that he could also have been a military guy who was on a tour of duty in Europe. And these comics were published in Europe as well as in French Canada. So he could have familiarized himself with these comics while with the military over there in Europe too. So,
well, that I think is one point of interest that's pointing to Christensen. Kenny Christensen is a guy who people speculate like if you watch like the History Channel, you watch like Brad Meltzer, like Decoded or whatever, which if you haven't seen it yet, I highly suggest any episode that he does. That guy is the best. Read his works. Also, he's an author. But they are kind of pointing at Christensen being the guy. Like he was a paratrooper. He came into a lot of money right after it happened. I mean, I think he worked in like an air, like for the Air Force, like the airline or whatever. And a lot of the planes that he was working on, he were grounded. So he wasn't getting a lot of money. So he felt resentment. So he had a working knowledge of what the airline was doing and how to get to an airplane and like who to call at what time and what to do and things of that nature. But there's a lot of evidence pointing it.
He knew how to operate the what do you call it? The gate. It wasn't
the back gate of the
precisely. So he actually had. I mean, this guy didn't. He did it at the very least. If he didn't work inside, he did his research because he knew a lot of things that your average person just flying a plane or wanting to steal money would not have necessarily known. I mean,
but any paratrooper or anyone who is a skydiving aficionado at the time. I know that skydiving wasn't really a thing, but that's another argument for this guy Walt Reck, I believe is. Let me just double check. I don't misquote. Walt Recca was one of the first people to be really into skydiving, and he was actually part of the team. He was a paratrooper, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Also, I'm like all things on the Creatures of the Night, I am heavily intoxicated and I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to conflate a couple of stories. Just be cool. Everyone be fucking cool. We're going to work this out together and we're going to protect you from the lizards. Listen to the Creatures of the Night. Goddamn. So if I'm not mistaken, Walt Recca was part of the team.
The skydiving thing too, you mentioned that it wasn't very common back then.
Well, Walt Recca was actually part of the team that developed it into like a public thing. So he was an OG, right? And then Walt Recca was also a guy who got arrested a lot. He was a guy who was always down and out for some money. He worked for the Teamsters at the time when that was a real big thing, around the same time as Vietnam. And I think it was 1969 or 1971 or something like that. So it was in between Vietnam and Korea. Yeah. But skyjacking was like a big thing. And this guy watched the news a lot. He was a former military guy. He had a lot of guns, but he didn't have a lot of money. And he was really upset that he didn't have that money. So what do? You figure out a way to use your abilities as a skydiver, as a parachuter, to get yourself some cash.
I thought you were going to say start a glory hole, but the paratrooper thing is good too.
I mean, parachutes or blowjobs, which one do you want?
There's a possibility, though, that the skydiving thing was, that was a big element in the Dan Cooper comics that we mentioned earlier, too. And there was even like storylines where ransoms were delivered and people were jumping out of planes in a parachute. So like there's a real possibility that this person had this expertise in terms of skydiving and stuff like that, and knowledge of the airplane, and just happened to be reading these comics as he's in the military, floating around Europe or whatever, banging prostitutes. In between banging prostitutes, he's reading these DB Cooper or Dan Cooper comics, and he cracks this idea later on when he's like down and out and needed funds.
Well, that's a lot of the guys have in common that are suspects, or they say they have done it. Like Walt Recca actually has said that he did it. Like there's recorded evidence of him admitting to it, but like a lot of the he has like some knowledge of stuff that only DB Cooper himself would know. But also like the physical appearance doesn't really match up or something along those lines. Yeah. So there's a lot of evidence, a lot of different places, but here's the craziest part about the DB Cooper story is that he was never seen again.
Yeah,
he jumped out of the plane into the night over Seattle into the northwestern woods and then literally vanished. I guess they didn't mark the bills. They didn't. Did we finish the whole story on like he was on a plane, he hijacked it, they landed, he got 4 parachutes, took all the people off, got the money, went back up, gave the parachutes to the people that were working, pushed them out, and then jumped out the back or something?
Yeah. No, so let's let's back this up a little bit. So when they landed, they had to land. He let all of the what do you call it? The motherfucking people on board or whatever. The passengers. Yeah. He let all those cocksuckers off. And then he kept the crew. Obviously he needed a pilot to fly the thing because he wasn't going to fly and jump out. And he kept 2 of the crew members. I think he kept the pilot, the co-pilot, and then 2 of the crew members on board. Obviously you need somebody to blow up when he blows up the plane if they don't deliver. That at the time they stopped, that's also when they delivered the money and the parachutes. He got several parachutes. The speculation is that he requested several parachutes to make the FBI think that he was going to have the hostages jump out with him. That way they wouldn't give him a dummy parachute. So he knew he'd get real parachutes if...
Powerful move.
Yeah, powerful move. I mean, this guy thought ahead. Cooper knew that they were flying over Tacoma. He recognized it. He commented on a specific Air Force base that was nearby, which is not a common piece of trivia for a civilian to know. Additionally, Cooper showed advanced knowledge of the aircraft that he'd chosen to hijack, so much so that some of his knowledge was virtually unknown to anyone outside of paramilitary CIA units.
Well,
this
I think
he jumped out.
Right. And and Christensen and
Ghost.
Walty boy over there, they're both paramilitary guys, which it points in that direction, man. It's very, very possible. So I'm just like enamored at the fact that this guy pulled this off and he has never been heard from again. You know, like, where's the parachute go?
Yeah.
Where is the money? Why wouldn't you give him marked bills?
They didn't give him marked bills, but they knew the sequence. So all of the bills, the numbers were printed on all of the bills, of course, and they had a record of all of the bills that they gave him. So he requested small bills. I think he requested 20s. Yeah. So he's obviously thinking, I want these smaller bills. They'll be easier. They'll be less noticeable when I spend them.
Yeah.
But as of today, none of the money has been spent, and only part of it was recovered. There was some amount that was recovered years later. It was like one little brick of money that had fallen out.
Yeah.
FBI initially speculated this guy didn't survive the fall because he never spent the money. Who steals $200K and then doesn't steal it unless doesn't spend it unless you're time traveler and you're taking the money back to the fucking future with yourself, you motherfuckers.
Just saying, maybe you're giving it to Don the first, like Don's dad, right? Because he's not a junior, he's a senior. So old Baron Trump himself, the oldest, you give him the money and then he invests it with some dudes that could wash that money quick.
Yeah.
You know?
So they did recover some of it. Some of it was found partially burned. And so they think that it might have, well, it was like just the edges that were kind of burnt. So they think maybe it fell out and, you know, something happened to it and it washed up on this river and some kids found it playing many years later. But that's all the money that was ever recovered. And they never found the guy's parachute. They never found nothing of this guy ever again. I mean, he disappeared. So, I mean, there's still some people who think he died because where he jumped out of the plane was over the wilderness. Like you said, it was in Northwest. It was November, it was late November. So this is a cold time of year. The guy jumps out and he's just wearing a suit, right? He's not even particularly well prepared for a cold weekend. But there are some people that speculate that he chose the night before Thanksgiving because guess what? You got a long weekend. You got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you got to be back at work Monday because you want your alibi to be that you didn't steal a whole bunch of fucking cash, then you drop out, right? Wednesday night, Thursday, you've got Thanksgiving, Friday, Black Friday, you've got Saturday and Sunday to hitchhike the fuck out of the woods, get your ass back to work, and then clock in on Monday. And guess what? I couldn't have possibly stolen a shit ton of money because I'm here.
I was eating apple pie with grandma.
Yeah, exactly. Thanksgiving. So honestly, this guy, there's a reason he chose the night before Thanksgiving. It was not a random night. It was not an accident. He chose that night for a reason.
Well, none of this is an accident. You don't just like stumble on being like a dude that wants to jump out of an airplane with a bag of money.
Yeah.
You know? So this Walt Recca guy, his story is that he got on the plane in a suit with a little briefcase that had dynamite in it. And then he had a note with him and he gave it. He was trying to get the attention of one of the flight attendants and she wouldn't believe him. And he finally said, "Excuse me, I need some help." And she said, "Yes." And he handed her the note and she took it just thinking that it was whatever. So she put it in the pocket and then he motioned to her again. "Hey,
you need to read that.
I need you to read that fucking note. It's pretty important."
Yeah.
And
she thought he was trying to hook up.
She was like, "Okay, yeah, whenever we land in Tacoma, you can get this ass."
Like a businessman who was trying to, like, you know,
right
here, let me slide you my number, let's hook up or whatever. But it was like, no, bitch.
So she sat down next to him and they started speaking, and he was like, "Look, here, what I need you to do. This is blah blah blah. You got to tell the captain," and then they tell the captain, and then the plane goes off without a hitch apparently. Yeah. But where we are interested, other than the eternal mystery that is Dan Cooper, where the fuck did he go, Chris Watsky?
Possible energy vortex in the Pacific Northwest to a nearby dimension.
I knew he was going to say that.
I mean, like that's the only possible outcome that my brain goes to. I'm listening to you guys talk a lot about this 3D fucking, in quotes, real world shit, and it's interesting, and it sounds like a Nicolas Cage movie, perhaps, but
Nicolas Cage would be Dan Cooper. You're absolutely 100%.
What does he roll the Declaration of Independence up and cram it in his ass and then jump out of a plane?
I was thinking more circa Con Air. Like that's what I'm envisioning because there is an actual plane involved, like that's,
Okay.
I'm a very visual creature.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you can rule out interdimensional travel there, Jason Almy, because the Pacific Northwest is a very special place. I mean, obviously, Bigfoot's coming and going. You got densely wooded areas. It's very easy to hide stuff. I mean, like
super easy to hide stuff, man.
Yeah, super easy to keister it in the woods somewhere.
And then to poke holes in every sail I have my homie Fernando in the chat, broke his leg upon landing, bled out, eaten by bears or wolves. So
that's actually a viable
100% a viable option.
I mean, a lot of more I don't know, reasonable, responsible, sane human beings than me do tend to think that he probably did not survive the drop, and that it would be very easy in that environment for his remains to be
the only thing that I have to say about that is that there was no parachute found.
Yeah, I mean, but people are even saying like these parachutes, they're not I mean, they're like somewhat biodegradable. Like,
no, stop it. They weren't made by hippies. They were made by real deal Americans that killed humans with guns
or whatever, but they're not like made out of aluminum or anything either. I mean, these things are usually canvas that's been treated to be like airtight or whatever, and like catch the air so that it'll slow your ass down. But I mean, with that,
thank you for mansplaining what a fucking parachute was to everyone.
With that kind of damp environment, I'm just saying the materials that they used in the 70s to make parachutes, in the late 60s to make parachutes. Why the fuck isn't France, the woods in France, completely covered with parachutes from the motherfucking Americans?
Because here in America, we build shit better than France. Fuck the Statue of Liberty. Fuck French fries. Fuck French toast. And fuck freedom. What is it called?
I ain't gonna fuck French toast. You gonna eat it?
French toast. Oh, French kissing. Fuck French kiss. It's called freedom kissing around here, boy.
Freedom kissing.
For one, it's France. Okay, let's get it right.
Suck la bleu. No, but I mean, look, it is an incredibly viable option to say that. I mean, he was fucking destroyed. He was actually. It's just as likely that Chris Watsky is right, or it's just as likely that he landed in the Pacific Northwest and then became the Senor Henderson from Harry and the Hendersons. And him and Bigfoot, they lived their life together with their $20,000 or whatever the fuck he had in the woods, and they just lived happily ever after. There's many different options here, and we're here to discuss and ask questions and find out what the fuck happened to DB Cooper, Chris Watsky.
Are you familiar with the story of the man from Torrid?
I am not, actually. Thank you very much.
Please tell us.
So, Cliff Notes version, because I wasn't prepared to even bring this up, but the man from Torrid was, I think it was in the 40s. A guy arrived in an airport in Tokyo or Japan or somewhere, and he had a passport, and it was stamped from a place called Torrid. And he had different money, he had different everything, and didn't know where he was. Like he just turned up there, and they locked him away in this room while they tried to figure it out. They had guards around him, locked up or whatever. He was trying to point it out on a map. I'm from this place called Torrid. I think it was supposedly somewhere over like where present day Italy is or something to that effect. Wasn't on our map, obviously, because he was from some alternate reality. He's locked in this room, and then overnight, while the guards were watching him, he disappeared. So, like, nobody ever knows who he was or where he came from or where he even went, because he just vanished into thin air. And the theories are, I guess let's just say you find an energy vortex and you find a way to cross into a neighboring dimension. Okay, let's just say that's
hold on real quick. Where did he appear?
Like Tokyo or somewhere in Japan at the airport. Like basically he was traveling and he got off, like he was going through customs, and he gave him his passport, and it was from a fucking country that didn't exist.
Shit.
It's interesting.
I'll try and pull that up when I'm done. But I'm sorry, I got distracted by the comments. Squirrel. let's just say that you can't. Okay, you find a way to get to a neighboring dimension. You probably can't sustain that for too long. Like your molecules, like you're from this dimension, you know, and I'm basing, you know, everything that I'm saying on like the MCU or something stupid like that. So you can only be there for so long, and then it starts to pull you back. Okay, that's potentially what happened with this guy. Maybe DB Cooper was from a nearby dimension, and he was like, he figured it out. He was like, I'm here, and I only have X amount of time before I get pulled back. So let's try and pull off a fucking heist. And he planned it out. So when he was falling, he hit the fucking energy vortex and he went home.
So the energy vortex like pulls you in. You don't have to be in a certain. It's not like a Stargate that has like.
Bitch, I literally was spitballing that when I was fucking saying it.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you're going to advance something as a workable hypothesis, we ought to at least think through some of the details. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm an asshole for asking a question about the fantastic science fiction fantasy that you just painted for us.
Listen,
how dare you?
You get paid to think. I get paid to hypothesize. Okay, let's stay in our lanes, and you do your job, and I'll do mine. Okay.
This is very combative.
I feel like you came at me for asking a simple question about.
I mean, for real.
I mean, the guy talks about
aggro right now.
Dimensional vortexes, like 15 times. I just ask how they work, and he's like, "Fuck off." Whoa.
Hey, that's a better way of saying I don't know. I'm sorry, Jason. I love you.
So, like, Adam, do you think he was he desperate for money, or was he doing this for fun? Is he some kind of thrill seeker? He's trying.
Well, here's the thing: if you are an interdimensional time traveler, then yes, he was definitely doing it for fun.
Okay, yeah.
There's no reason not to.
$200,000 if you're an interdimensional time traveler.
Yeah, just to do it.
Peanuts. Yeah, I mean, I'm presuming that if you can travel dimensions, you could also print some pretty fucking good counterfeit money that wouldn't get you caught.
Right. Or you just blip in and out of realities and take money here and there. And maybe you work for the US government on, you know, September 10th and you just lose like $1 trillion and then you just blip into another reality, you know?
You know what? There's something I love about both of you guys. You pass the ball to Chris and he like veers straight to the fucking interdimensional vortexes, aliens and shit. You pass the ball to Adam, he's like fucking straight to September 11th and George W. Bush fucking killed the towers and shit. It's like everybody's got their flavor. I love your flavors, both of you, man.
I love you too. Now tell us about Tibet.
Dude, let me tell you about Tibet. I went to the Potato Palace. I meditated with this stinky guy who hadn't taken a shower, fucking smelled like a yak piss. It was incredible. Buddhism, I'm a Buddhist. I'm Buddhism, and everything's cool, and I'm cool. I got long hair.
Hey, hold on. I found something for to back up my story. Can I show something to you?
Go on. I'd love to see something. You gonna share your screen?
Yes.
All right.
So, Jason, can you see that enough to narrate that? Can you do me the honors of reading that?
Yeah, I'd love to. It is July of, what does that say? 1954, a hot day. A man arrives at Tokyo Airport in Japan. He's of Caucasian appearance. He's a POC, a person of caucasity, and conventional looking, but the officials are suspicious. On checking his passport, they see that he hails from a country called Taured. The passport looked genuine, except for the fact that there is no such country as Taured. Well, at least in our dimension. The man is interrogated and asked to point out where his country supposedly exists on a map. He immediately points his finger towards the Principality of Andorra, but becomes angry and confused. He's never heard of Andorra, and he can't understand why his homeland of Taured isn't there. According to him, it should have been, for it has existed for more than 1,000 years. Customs officials found him in possession of money from several different European currencies. His passport had been stamped by many airports around the globe, including previous visits to Tokyo. Baffled, they took him to a local hotel and placed him in a room with a hooker and 2 guards outside until they could get to the bottom of the mystery. The company he claimed to work for had no knowledge of him, although he had copious amounts of documentation to prove his point. The hotel he claimed to have a reservation for had never heard from him either. The company officials in Tokyo he was there to do business with, yep, you guessed it, they shook their heads too. Later, when the hotel room he was held in was opened, the man had disappeared. The hooker was dead. The police established that he could not have escaped out of the window. The room was several floors up and there was no balcony. He was never seen again, and the mystery was never solved. Obviously, interdimensional vortex, guys. Case closed.
I mean, thank you finally for coming to our side of things.
I'm willing to join your side of things because I don't see how they could have locked this guy up in the hotel room and then he's just not there when they finally crack it back open again. Doesn't make sense.
What if he was DB Cooper? What if that guy that showed up with interdimensional passports it turned out to be DB Cooper?
That'd be pretty cool, but would that have been DB Cooper before he did his shit? Because the guy from Torrid seems pretty confused about the whole dimensionality thing. And DB Cooper knew what he was doing. DB Cooper was like slanging dick. He was like,
he was a Marine.
Well, this was in the 50s. This was in the 50s, and that happened in the 70s. So right now, he was just getting his legs under him. He didn't know what was going on.
So time doesn't mean shit to these guys. I mean, they could pop up in the 70s when they're 2 years old, and then 10 years later pop up in the 1800s and butt fuck Genghis Khan. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot going on there, Jay.
Yeah, there really is. And as we just alluded to earlier, the second Almy takes the ball, we got to talk about Asia.
Goddamn right. Fucking Genghis Khan comes to mind because he was hanging around in 1800s.
Fish turning into dragons, fucking tanuki, all types of tonkatsu, all of them.
Tonkatsu.
Okay, so here is the new hypothesis: is that these two guys are the same. He accidentally, the man for Torrid, accidentally time traveled interdimensionally, right? And then he took 20 years to get it under his belt, where he's hopping around like Rick Sanchez, and now he's just out there free balling DB Cooper in them. And then in the 90s, he's like, all right, it's time to settle down. I got to be Baron Trump.
So you think he figured some shit out? You think he did it once by accident and he was like, how the fuck did I do that? And then he figured out whatever he needed to do, his magic formula, whether it was a machine, a contraption, or some kind of formula like Pym particles, or he just had to take the right kind of psychedelic mushroom to allow him to slide into that next dimension. You think this guy might have like figured that shit out, and once he had the formula, he started appearing in all sort of dimensions, maybe not just our own, and doing all kind of wild shit?
He's like our own personal Rick Sanchez.
I would love that to be true.
I would love that to be true.
I want that to be true. I want that to be true so bad.
Well, how did we land on the Baron Trump thing? Like, how did those dots get connected? Because this was back around like Christmas time, and we've been trying to flesh this out, and I don't remember how
it was
actually, how that was actually made.
So it was a lot like many other things in life, and especially in the conspiracy theory realm environment. It was a very spurious connection where somebody took a picture of DB Cooper from one of the recreation sketches, right? So it's not even really a photo. It's just some drawing that somebody did, and then held it up next to a photograph of like 16-year-old Baron Trump and said, holy fuck, these two look a lot alike. How could Baron Trump, who was born in like 2007, how the fuck could he be DB Cooper operating in the 1970s? This is what I'm saying. There is a version of Baron Trump in the future, right? Because they were saying DB Cooper looked to be about in his mid-40s.
Right, so mid-40s, 5'10" to 6 foot.
Yeah.
Full head of hair.
Baron Trump in the 2060s gets a hold of some type of technology to time travel.
I mean, the kind of technology that you'll have if your dad is Donald Trump.
Precisely. We haven't even talked about what Donald Trump's uncle did with the Tesla technology at Harvard. We all know.
Trust me, we're going to get into it, Jay.
Uncle got the goddamn Tesla notes.
Hey, don't bury the lead. Don't bury the lead. Just keep going with Baron Trump.
There's real evidence besides these guys.
I know. That's what we're trying. We're trying to flesh out the entire thing so people don't call us crazy, Jay. So keep going with Baron Trump. Baron Trump, 2060.
That shit.
In the 2060s, when he's mid-40s ish, he somehow, we don't know exactly how it works, the mechanics of the thing, but he's able to travel back to 1971 and pull off this motherfucking heist. You know what he does with the money? He doesn't take it back to 2060. What are you going to do with the money from 1971 and 2060?
Do you know what the value of a dollar in 2060 is? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's like 83 cents, or I don't know what it is. It's not worth very much. But I think what he did is, I think the motivation for Baron Trump to travel back in time and steal money in a grandiose heist like it's Ocean's fucking 11 is in order to give that money to his young father, who's a young man at the time, getting started in business. Here's your seed money. He begins his own father's empire.
A small loan of $1 million.
Small loan of $1 million, really nothing, guys. Everybody.
So
That's
essentially,
everybody's born with.
essentially, what you're saying, this is like old Biff giving young Biff the sports almanac.
Thank you, Chris. This is why we pay you the big bucks. That was a
And
perfect.
this, Chris, goes back to your point that they got to show you the truth in everything they told
Right.
you in the media. That's the documents. Just run it back.
Because
Biff
Donald
is
Trump
DB
produced
Cooper.
Big Trouble in Little China. Back to the Future. Yeah, that one.
Mm-hmm. I got a mouthful of water. Someone say something.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
dude.
So the Tesla technology.
yeah,
Get at me.
I tried to get in that earlier, but it was like, whoa, don't touch that. But obviously, if Barron Trump is going to travel back in time to the 1970s from 90 years in the future, or 90 years from 1970s in the future, how's he fucking do it? I mean, why Donald Trump's son? Well, why is this all sounds insane, right? Except there's a really little known fact about Donald Trump's uncle. This guy got all of Tesla's notes. I don't know why.
He just bought them, or he
No,
won an auction.
Donald Trump's uncle was like he was like what do you call it? He was like an academic. He like worked in a God, it was Harvard. I'm looking him up now. His name was John G. Trump. He was an academic. He doesn't look anything like Donald Trump. In fact, I'll share a photo of this guy just so you guys can see. You would never think this is Donald Trump's relative. You just wouldn't. You'd never think that it was him. Let's see, application window. Let's share this one, and we're looking at Don G. Trump. The guy's an academic. He's an egghead. He works for universities, like what I want to do, right? He's an old man, even in the 70s, right? He died in 1985 at age 77. So in the 70s, he's already a pretty old guy. But now in early 1943, 2 days after the death of Nikola Tesla, the Federal Bureau of Investigation ordered the Office of Alien Property Custodian to seize Tesla's belongings, including his notes, his copious notes. Trump's uncle, was called in to analyze these Tesla items, which were being held in custody. After a 3-day investigation, Trump's report concluded that there was nothing which would constitute a hazard in unfriendly hands, which is another way of saying I took all the good shit and I'm leaving all this stuff that doesn't matter if anybody sees it. All Tesla's old tissues, I'll leave you guys that. The good notes in this journal just got slipped into my fucking briefcase because this guy works at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. So he's an egghead. He's a genius. He works at MIT. What the fuck? You know what I mean?
When did that happen? That happened in the 40s or the 50s?
That was in the 40s. That was just after Tesla died in the early 40s. So we're talking about this is like World War II is happening. World War II is on. America is right about to get involved with Pearl Harbor and everything like that. So the decade starting the decade of the 40s and 50s, really starting with our entry into World War II, was a tremendous time for like anti-communism. We're really starting to look after, especially after we defeated the Axis powers, and we start the post-World War II era, where we're looking at the Soviet Union as like, these are the fuckers. We got to have the technology, which is why we had the FBI seized all of Tesla's shit. They didn't want this to fall into anyone else's hands that wasn't American, and they give it all over to Trump. Why? I don't know. They just like the guy. He's at MIT. He's an egghead. He's a genius. He's going to pick up Nikola Tesla's all of his notes, all of his work. He's going to start right from where Nikola Tesla left off.
Right.
How's DB Cooper gonna, or how's Barron Trump going to become DB Cooper by time travel? I don't know. Fucking Tesla technology, maybe. Yeah.
So okay, is
driving cars?
Can I tell you something real quick?
Is Nikola Tesla the reptilian, or is John G. Trump the reptilian?
I think John G. Trump is the reptilian. I think Tesla is
it's funny.
Pleiadian.
Well, it's funny you say that. Y'all are just completely burying the lead, and I'm raising my hand like I'm in third grade, just trying to fucking answer. Mr. Elmy, can I please? I know this. I know this.
Please speak.
In the most recent declassification of CIA documents, there is one document. I don't know where it is. I can't pull it up at this moment, but they actually they say that Nikola Tesla is actually from Venus.
Yeah, he's Venusian.
That's on the CIA website. He's from Venus.
Wait, that's actual, factual, real life.
Yeah, just like our Mars thing that we did way back, on episode 2 or whatever from the CIA.
Everybody knows if it's on the CIA website, it's fucking true.
Well, see, Jason, you can't play it both ways. You can't say, well, you're just fantastical fucking woo-woo guy and you believe everything you see on YouTube. But then when I go to CIA.gov, that's not good enough either. So what is it, Jay?
Nothing is ever good enough. That's what it is. Nothing is ever good enough.
So
I had
one of them.
ironically just
One of them is a reptilian.
I think John G. Trump was reptilian.
Okay.
I think Tesla was Venusian or Arcturian, or maybe both. Maybe that's where the Arcturian Pleiadians come from. I don't know. I don't have all the species memorized like Chris over here does, but I think Tesla. I think Tesla was an angel. I think he was a misunderstood genius, and he might possibly have been in love with a pigeon, and he might also possibly have been a strange man from another species from way out there in the galaxy somewhere. But I think John G.
And that's why he hated elephants.
Of course. Well, yeah, he did. He had a weird thing. He was in love with a pigeon. He loved a pigeon. Like he had a soul bond. Like in a previous life, he had a soulmate, and they when they both
bonded.
died, yeah, they bonded. And his soulmate was reincarnated as a pigeon, and he was reincarnated as Nikola Tesla. And they him and this pigeon were like, boom. And he didn't know that pigeons die when they had sex. At least the one he fucked did.
All that build up for that, dude. Come on.
Cool, man.
Sorry.
All right. So how are we going to conflate this story even more?
I mean,
let's layer the baklava of ridiculousness.
So I'm just saying, does he work with when DB Cooper, or should we just call him Barron Trump from here on out? When Barron Trump travels back in time to assume the identity of Dan Cooper and become this legend that we discuss even now, 50 years later.
Hold on 1 second. He could have taken his name from a second book.
Oh, yeah. You mean Barron Trump?
Barron Trump and Dan Cooper. So he's a literature fan, specifically of those two books at least. I just wanted to.
Yeah,
it's just hit me now. I'm sticking with it, Chris.
And they're both a certain type of fiction too, right? The Barron Trump novels are kind of like this sort of fictional story sci-fi thing aimed at kids. It's just like the Dan Cooper comics were. They were aimed at like young people, adolescents and shit.
The kind of shit that you would have readily available if you were in the Korean War and you were a paratrooper.
Precisely. So Barron Trump traveled back in time to fight in Korea and gain skills for jumping out of airplanes.
Yeah.
Paratrooping.
For paratrooping.
I don't know that that's a verb, but okay. I like it.
It is now. I don't know that this story has leg, but we're fucking running with it for last 4 minutes.
This is what's called the Creatures Writing Room, dude. We're just putting ideas together, and we got the yarn, and we're connecting the thumbtacks. That's all we're doing.
Throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. You know what I'm saying,
dude? Sometimes
here's the thing: did DB Cooper kill JFK?
Let's check everything, dude. Everything.
He wasn't Dan Cooper when he did it, but Barron Trump did. Barron Trump had to do that to get LBJ in office, in order for all of this shit to come into place. All the pieces of the puzzle
all makes sense.
And the only way you're going to do that is get JFK out of there, because he was working. I think it's clear. I'm ready to step out on a limb and say that Barron Trump, at least in his persona as Dan Cooper, was heavily involved with the CIA. And in order for the CIA to remain in power in the 1970s, Barron Trump, we're getting a phone call?
Yes, sir.
Somebody's calling in. Let's say what's up.
Take the lead, Jay.
Hi, you're speaking to the Creatures of the Night. What's going on?
Gentlemen, it's John Domingo. How's it going?
Oh, there he is.
Domingo. Shit. We're talking about
Jenny boy.
You calling to talk about the V word?
No, I just, like I said, I think that they found the money and they didn't find him. So basically, I think he just died in the woods, and then animals ate him, to be quite honest with you.
Me and Kaz agree.
Is that just... Is that not a conspiracy for you guys?
I think it's most likely, but it's the least fun.
And also, they didn't find all the money.
Yeah, they only found part of the
They
money.
found some of the money.
Yeah, they found like a 10% of the money, I think.
Yeah, but it was so much later than when he died, when he dove out of the plane, that, it could have, I don't know, rotted away or whatever. Or maybe, who knows? Maybe he had a Bigfoot costume up there and he was strutting around as Bigfoot. Who knows?
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
Now we're fucking talking.
DB Cooper is also Barron Trump, Nikola Tesla. He killed JFK, and now he is also the guy in the Bigfoot suit from the.
No, what he is, he's Mr. Henderson from Harry and the Hendersons, bro.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm trying to follow along. I'm just a man.
Thank you for alluding to that for us, John. We appreciate you. What's up, man? How are you?
Not too bad. Just following things along. Hey, there's this new social media thing I figured you guys would enjoy. And it is called, if I can get to it real quick, because I can never remember anything.
He's gonna tell us about Twitter.
It is called Clout Hub. Have you been to that yet? Have you seen it yet?
What's it called?
Clout, CLOUT, Clout Hub.
Cloud
The
Hub.
reason I like this thing so much is I just went on it the other day. They actually have a group for QAnon. It's like the official QAnon group. And I just want to be in there for the yucks and the giggles and the stories. I don't believe any of it, but goddamn, can they write a good story? Here's the latest one. Kamala Harris is transgender.
Absolutely.
She's a dude. Right?
They said the same thing about Michelle Obama.
Yeah,
I know.
people say that about Michelle Obama.
Of her, there's a video of her dancing on Ellen, and goddamn, it doesn't look like there's a cock bouncing around in them pants of hers.
I watched it 30 times. After I cleaned up, I was pretty ashamed, but
I watched it 30 times and finished 25.
Nice. So she's now Kamala Harris is transgender, and then that means what?
It doesn't
that
mean
means
anything.
there still won't be a first female president of the United States.
I mean, for real, yeah,
means
that's what that means.
Biden keels over, we'll still be running the show, us dudes.
I know. And the other thing is too, I got to ask you, why are we covering about what's going on down there on the border now? I mean, everything that was going on last year, a couple of years ago, now all of a sudden, nobody seems to. It's no big deal. It's okay. We got a couple kids down there. We're getting them hotel rooms now. $86 million for hotel rooms.
That's pretty nice. Are they?
Yeah, that's definitely some fuckery. And I mean, obviously, with any transition in power, there's going to be a different coverage of different things, and it's fuckery is what it is. It's absolute fuckery because they're still keeping kids in cages. They've always been keeping kids in cages. It was just they were running out of things to fucking talk about one day, and they started going on about that. And then you get people like AOC and all the other like crazy left wingers that go fucking bananas over that kind of shit, and they cry on the internet or they do something along those lines. And the simple fact of the matter is that everyone's got a team. One team is Freddie, one team is Jason. You know what I mean? So if you're team Freddie, then you don't like Jason, but they're both fucking coming in your nightmares and chopping your head off. It's simple fact of the matter is that it's just team politics, dude. And it's fucking dumb. But as I said, when Joe Biden got elected, I hope that the people that were going after Trump for the last 4 years continue to go after the president, because the chair of the presidency is not, it should not be taken lightly.
It's supposed to be a hot seat.
Right. It's supposed to be a hot seat. This motherfucker works for us.
Yeah.
You got to get after the fucking Senate. You got to get after the House of Representatives, all of it. No, not that, Glenn Whalen.
Yeah,
that's not the vibe.
That's what I'm talking about, Glenn. Though,
but
John, he's blowing up my ego, but he's doing it. I love you, Glenn.
John, you bring up a great point, man. I think that
I think he was talking about Machete Jason.
I think he was, but you know what? I'm gonna take it how I take it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just gonna let it wash over me. Okay.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, he would be talking about the other Jason.
Yeah,
But
you
John, I
made me
mean, you
know.
bring up a great point, man. There's not a whole lot of accountability, or there's more team politics instead of us versus them, as in the people versus the government.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of like red versus blue versus red and blue in the government instead.
I can't
And
wait
then
to meet the president. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's President Biden, Kamala, Trump Jr. I don't give a fuck who's president. When I meet him, I want to be like, you work for me, bitch.
it's true.
That's
It's
the
a great
first thing I'm
point.
going to say. And then I'm going to say, it's nice to meet you, Madam President, or whatever. But the first thing I'm going to say is I'm going to look him dead in the eyes. I'm going to be like, you work for me, bitch. That Secret Service agent that works for you, he works for you. You work for me. I'm his boss's boss. Bitch, bitch, bitch. I'm going to call the Secret
I
Service.
saw a video with George Carlin. He was talking to Charlie Rose. Boy, that's an old. There's two dead people.
What a reference.
So George was saying, you know what? My life got a lot easier and a lot better when I just didn't have a team to pick on anymore, and I'm not rooting for anybody. I'm just here for the show. So it's very hard not to get. You know me. It's very hard for me not to get emotional when I see bullshit. Like I can't stand bullshit, or I can't stand when people try to lie to me and make me look like a fool. So of course,
all that, John.
And
what they call that is shit in my mouth and calling it a Sunday.
I call balls and strikes, I think, but of course, I have a way leaning. But I just think that once if we could all come together and then focus on what we as the people, and then them is once it's we the people against them the government, then I think things will turn around. I don't know if we can ever do that though.
The likelihood of that happening is not very high on account of how easily it is to control people with using things like media and social media and the majority of the things that we take in, not to mention that they're pumping our food full of chemicals and the water supply is draining, and what we do have as far as water is so contaminated by the big companies that we're shoveling our blood money to them for them to poison us and to kill us. There's it's a whole fucked up situation here. And what people don't understand is that they should be team people. But they're allowing you voted for Ruben Studdard and you should have voted for fucking Kelly Clarkson and now we're going to fight. Yeah, I mean, right. 100%. That's what we're trying to do here. We're just trying to get to the bottom of shit.
I love Kelly Clarkson.
So I just wanted to call in because tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, I go for my second vaccine shot.
Oh no.
If mine has the kill switch in it, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure knowing you. And, like I said, I feel like my life is better for it. So we'll see.
Hopefully, we fucking love you, dude.
Yeah, I hope you survive. That would be a shame.
Something else takes you out.
I gave all my kids my passwords to all my computers and stuff on my phone. I said,
they're gonna see your porn history.
Through all that stuff.
They're going to see your web.
I went in and cleared all the porn off my browser history.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
I'm ready.
You got to have a friend who's always looking out for you. So if you die unexpectedly in a car crash or whatever, they just bolt over to your house real quick and get the drill and just put a few holes in your hard drive or whatever so nobody can see the reams of fucking porn you got on there.
That's right. Yeah, you need somebody.
Yeah.
You say that they got to go to the nightstand drawer and get all the toys out of the nightstand drawer and throw them the fuck away.
Yeah, you got to put those in a bag out by the trash so that
the litany of butt plugs that you've collected over the years it's got to find its way like DB Cooper's money and just out in the middle of the woods somewhere.
Some kids playing in the woods.
Out of the closet. Yeah, drag the real Dell out of the closet and then take it down the road and throw it in the woods somewhere.
Damn right.
Be done with it.
Johnny, thanks so much for fucking calling, man.
Great show.
Thank you. Thank you. We love you.
Later.
We'll miss you.
Thanks. See you.
I hope that back.
John Domingo, everybody, check out the Bullhorn podcast.
Hell yeah. Do
him.
it. Yeah.
I fucking love them.
Yeah. Anybody else want to call in and share your feelings? Talk to me. I'm Catholic. You can confess to me.
I am now officially on Clout Hub.
Clout Hub, yeah, Clout Hub. I'm gonna check that out myself. Maybe if they got some good fun material.
That sounds like something that you would be into, Adam.
I don't know what it is, but I am Adam_Simmons on that.
I seek to have clout in my life.
Yeah, good.
In general, that's a thing that I value.
Okay. Did you have any more notes you wanted to get into, Jay?
Well, that's actually kind of what I wanted to. I want to, let's just wrap the DB Cooper thing up. Is there anything you feel like we've missed on this?
Probably tons. What do you mean?
Honestly, I mean, there's. What are you talking about? I mean, what we missed was like facts, like anything that makes any amount of sense, like him not being Bigfoot and the guy who killed JFK and Barron Trump and
honestly, our theory may not be the most factually accurate and it may not align well with real life very much, but I think our version is the most entertaining, which is why people listen to a podcast in the first fucking place. I mean,
right, and that's what we are.
We've told the best narrative here that it's Barron Trump from the future traveling back to the past in order to steal money, using his advanced knowledge to give that money to his father so his father can become president of the United States so that he can be fucking born after his father bangs this model Melania and marries her and shit like that. And he gets to grow up in the White House to travel back in time to start the whole thing over again in this fucking endless time loop. I love it. I think it's incredible. And I can't wait to find out that it's true and that we were right all along. And the FBI, they don't know dick about shit.
But the CIA does, and that's why they keep putting out these documents for Chris Watsky to read.
Well, Jason keeps sending them to me, so this is layers upon layers of oppish behavior.
What do you mean? Are you saying that you think I work for a government agency and that I'm sending you the things that my handlers are telling me to so that we can keep you on this path that we want you on? Because that's completely false, and I deny it.
It rolled off the tongue very
I don't know. It seemed a little like a manifesto to me.
Well, that is false, Chris.
Well, be that as it may, I'm here for it.
It's false, and that shit is false. So I feel like we can at least put a pin in DB Cooper. When we talked about the facts as they are, I think it's an incredible case. I mean, in all reality, I don't think he traveled from the future. I don't think he's from a different dimension, but I do think that this was like some kind of wild fucking cowboy that was born 100 years too late. And he just decided to do some wild shit. And I like to think he survived. I like to think he wore the suit.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that when he was hitchhiking out of the Northeast, he'd be more likely to be picked up because he'd look kind of official, or maybe he had some CIA guys that were waiting to extract him from there. I love the idea that this is like some crazy Ocean's 11 thing, and that this guy's dick was just too fucking heavy for him to fucking live. He just had to go slang his dick and make this shit happen. I love it. I'm here for it.
He asked for multiple parachutes because he needed at least two, because he needed to tie one to the end of his dick and the other to his back so that he could fall.
Definitely.
And a counterbalance speed. You know what I mean? You ever drop a tank out of the air? You know what I mean? It's got two.
Yeah.
You just weigh the end of his massive interdimensional dick.
Yeah, the guy had balls, and he needed a parachute just for his balls, just for that sack.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm talking about.
Operation Dumbo drop for real. That joke was just for you, Chris Watsky. So what else do we have on the docket?
It landed.
He could write all those letters on his dick. His dick was big enough that he could print that all down the side too. Operation Dumbo drop, and he still had 3 inches left.
I think Jason wanted to touch on some basically some conspiracy current events type thing.
Yeah,
Is that what you were saying? Yeah.
You guys know I'm researching this shit on the daily, so I'm all up in the conspiracy themed websites and stuff, trying to read notes and news from like you always just look at things skeptically. Like, I think there are big cases like the DB Cooper and JFK and Area 51, all this shit that's like, it's like they're iconic and they're timeless. But then, you have stuff that's happening every day around us. And even if most of it's not fuckery, some of it has got to be fuckery. There's so much shit going on, and whether it's like whether it's like a false flag type of thing. I mean, you've got shit happening. You got shootings that are occurring lately that are really pretty terrible, and you have to wonder like why is this happening? And Jesus, his
Shots
dick had a
gone.
dick. Yeah,
His dick had a dick.
that's why I asked for 4 parachutes.
Old double
Sticks.
dick Cooper.
Now we're talking about something out of a Japanese hentai movie. Shit.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
No, it's all good in the hood. That actually,
But I mean, look, yeah, you're absolutely correct. But it's hard to not think that these events, these current events and things are here to instill fear or to shake up the news, or maybe potentially distract you from some things. Yeah, I mean, look, Zeus, call in right now. Zeus, please. You see the number. Call.
actually, get your dad and uncle to call in. Shit, they went to Area 51 apparently. For you
Yeah.
guys listening on the,
But it's people are very easily distracted, man, and they're like, "Oh, Asian people are dying. This is a hate crime." And like, well, I mean, they're not going to Chinese food restaurants, and they're not. It's. I understand that it is. We're treading, and it's a very nuanced topic here. That we've all discussed at length privately and on other shows, but it definitely seems as though there is something here that they're trying to distract you from. So they're trying to they're going back to the old bag of tricks, like, oh, now that people are outside again, let's start shooting them again, because there have been no school shootings for the first time in 20 years, 15 years or something along those lines in the last year. So
like,
like
year since Columbine that there hasn't been a school shooting.
yeah, not one.
And it's because nobody's in fucking school though, right? Like,
Right.
how are you gonna do a school shooting? The school's fucking empty. You're gonna hit thin air. You have to start with
Well, I mean,
humanitarians.
murder suicide. You could.
I mean, if you're gonna do a school shooting, you have to like go house to house in a neighborhood or something like
Yeah.
that. Everyone's doing homeschool. You'd have to shoot your laptop in Zoom or something like that. But it's one of these things that you have to wonder. Sometimes are things planned a certain way? Do things unfold like without trying to tread on some Alex Jones territory where he got sued by the victims of Sandy Hook, the survivors of the victims of Sandy Hook for saying
he said it just didn't happen.
crazy.
And
Yeah,
he
he
was
said
going
the whole thing was
bananas with that
crazy.
shit.
But I mean, I really think more about how the media covers certain events rather than doubting.
Yeah, I think that's more what we're alluding to here.
Why are we told what we're told? Why are things spun in a certain way? And I feel like I can't help but feel like things are often spun in a certain way to produce in us as consumers of the news a certain feeling or emotion about it.
Well, yeah, scared people buy more things. And they're more easily told what to do. Have you ever been in a building that was on fire?
Thankfully, no.
Okay, so if there's an emergency in an area, as soon as everyone's panicking, they look at the first person they see pointing in a direction and they follow directions without thinking. A complete stranger could be like, go here, go here, go here. And you could be running off a cliff. People will just go. They just have blind trust in a moment of fear. People are more easily controlled in a state of fear, in a state of panic.
There's a higher level of cognitive function that escapes you when you're in that level. That adrenaline,
it's legitimately just fight or flight.
Exactly,
Right.
Precisely. You took the words out of my mouth, and that's exactly what it is. When that adrenaline hits, that chemical literally prevents you from utilizing these higher cognitive functions that you would be able to use if you were just sitting down making a rational decision.
That's why it's so important for you to be involved in things where you are, the normal everyday Joe, Joe Johnson, whoever it is, sitting on his couch watching CNN, whatever it is. If he's outside and he hears gunshots or he sees a car accident or something, he's gonna panic. He doesn't know what to do. There are people who forget how to do CPR, even though we're all we all know chest compression, check for air, this and that. People forget the number for 911, right? When people start to freak out, they start to lose their shit.
Yeah.
So it's very important that during your life you do things that are maybe you are a volunteer fireman, or you work for a paramedic, or even somebody, you take some sort of training, you do a martial art, you do jujitsu so that you don't panic under pressure, you do things like high intensity training, you push your body to its limits,
you skydive a lot.
Right.
And
maybe you go and you take some skydiving classes
paramilitary with the CIA.
Yeah. Maybe you just go hang out in the woods and you build yourself a log cabin, and then maybe you travel back in time, and then that log cabin is that, or you travel into time and that log cabin is there because nobody's been on that land for 200 years. Who knows?
Hell yeah.
But it's very important for you to stay cognizant and to be aware of what's going on, because like we're alluding to here, when events like this happen, I know a lot of Asian people that are afraid for their life right now.
Well,
the same way that black people, they are afraid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're dying in numbers that are unseen or whatever. But
yeah, I got to tell you, like, if I was Asian, I mean,
you're not. I want to make it clear to you that you're not Asian.
How dare you? How dare you? Goddamn right I am. Anyway. But when I was reading about this story in prep for the episode I recorded the other night, I have come to the conclusion that this guy, he was whacked out, evangelical Christian. This is, of course, I'm referring to the Atlanta shooter. The guy, he believed so strongly that premarital sex and even masturbation was a sin. This guy would like jack off and then have to go confess and pray and do all this shit. He wound up acting out in an insane way, but taking it out on people who he viewed as participating in this like sex industry and this prostitution and stuff. He didn't go after these people because they were Asians. He went after them because
they're
the Asians working at an Asian-owned business that he targeted because he viewed it as a brothel and not that he was trying to take out Asians. That's at least my impression from what I've read so far.
I mean, all evidence is pointing to the fact that he's a Christian extremist.
Yeah.
And this proves the point that not all Muslim people want to kill you with an airplane. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a lot of them too.
I mean, there's the couple. They're probably pissed off with the drone strike. Thanks, Obama. But
95%. So I think if I was Asian though, and I was going into work today, having that shit happened just last week, I mean, the last couple of days going into work, I'd be kind of like, fuck, like, is my spot about to get blown up today? Like, is my shit like,
well, where do you work? Do you work in a normal office or?
No, I jerk people off for money. Obviously I give.
Well, then 100% you're going to get.
And then.
Boom. Yeah.
So I mean,
that Deshaun Watson.
I don't really blame people for having a certain level of fear when 6 out of the 8 people that he killed were Asian.
Right.
I mean, that to me, that's like, well, even if it's he targeted Asian-owned businesses, and it may not have been an overtly racist thing, but it may have been a stereotype that was operating subconsciously on this dude, that he's like, I'm going to go after these prostitutes who are jerking dudes off because I hate that type of shit.
Asian people are the sexiest people. They're the most dangerous.
Yeah, because he watched Full Metal Jacket, me so horny shit, and so he has this perception that's a little bit subconscious, but it's more like a subconscious, systematic racism that's built in that then manifested as him violently approaching these Asian businesses.
Right.
I mean,
I think that I think that if he was targeting Asians specifically, not saying that the majority of massage parlors aren't Asian-owned businesses, but if he was attacking Asians, he would go after restaurants, he would go to nail salons, he would go to other historically Asian-owned businesses, and he would attack there as well. But he did not. I think it's strictly the sexual nature in which he associates getting a massage with the sexual acts. That doesn't mean anything. That Zeus, you should still call. Sorry for the people that are just listening. We are live commenting on Facebook and on YouTube and on Twitch. We're everywhere.
And our man Dr. Zeus
is trying to blow us up, but he's not giving us a call. So
I just want to hear about Area 51. I want to talk.
I just want to talk about it
and hear about all the secret shit.
Mostly because I want Chris Watsky to start talking again. So if someone can start talking about fucking Asians.
Bring up some sort of nonsense. I mean, I would be very appreciative right now. Talking about a lot of real world shit, which is very important. We need to have these conversations. But it's best left to the professionals.
I get fired up by this real world shit though, because I mean, there's so much going on with it, and it affects real people. I mean, there are 8 people dead in the Atlanta shooting. There are 10 people dead in Boulder, Colorado. What was that, yesterday or today?
It was
So
yesterday.
I mean,
It was
real
last
people
night.
being affected by this violence, innocent people that are being affected by this violence, and I think that it's a tragedy when these type of things occur because these are innocent lives being lost. But then I think what really kind of infuriates me a little bit more is that this stuff then becomes this clickbait news title that really these people die, and then what happens? CNN makes money, Fox News makes money, MSNBC. These guys make money off the deaths of these innocent people because this shit makes headlines and everybody and their mother's fucking clicking it. And guess what? I'm also looking at an ad for Bed Bath and Beyond. I better go get a new Nutra Ninja after these fucking. So you're using these people's untimely demises in a violent way. They're ripped from their family. I mean, go talk to any of the family members of these people. They're incredibly bereaved. Their family members were murdered, and I think it's disgusting the way that the media sort of profits off of this, and then they also use it as a springboard to like demonize some class of people or to try to continue to divide us, like Adam was talking about a few minutes ago.
Oh, I thought Chris was gonna.
I just thought we were gonna listen to him hawk a loogie. I was like, what a well-timed silence on my part, because he's like,
it wasn't me. That was fucking this guy.
Oh well,
I might have just been buggering it. Sorry. You know, the fucking the dab pen dries my mouth out, so I'm a little verklempt. Yeah, I mean, people are more easily controlled when they're afraid, and sex and violence always sells. That's why GTA is one of the most popular video games of all time. Call of Duty, things of that nature. People like conflict because it gets back to the more philosophical question that we were alluding to earlier, is that people do not have enough outside conflict. You need exterior stressors so that you can kind of deflate the ones that are within you. But that's why people suck up all this violence and shit, dude, because we're not running from leopards anymore. My shirt is not from real leopard. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not.
I didn't earn this by skinning a leopard and chasing him down and killing him with my bare hands.
If you show up to the next episode wearing like an actual animal pelt, I would be so fucking impressed. You just like come like dead over your shoulders, like fuck you, PETA, fuck you, Paul McCartney, fuck you. Fucking dead animal on my shoulder.
I mean, always fuck Paul McCartney. Fuck that dude.
Well,
fuck the Beatles.
He's going to come into America with a whole ass fucking lion head draped over his shoulder.
That's right. I'm gonna look like Kraven the Hunter from fucking Spider-Man. I'm gonna have the mustache and everything. But people don't have external stressors anymore. So like people aren't having enough sex. People aren't in enough danger in their everyday life. You know, we have food delivered to our homes.
Yeah.
We, especially now, like you sit in your car and you have like some dude that looks like Chris Watsky come up to you, hand you your groceries, then you get out. You know what I mean? And even then, if you go into the grocery store, right, you're buying prepackaged food. You're not going over here like Jeff and fucking shooting him in the face with an arrow and then eating his corpse. You know what I mean? Like that very seldom happens anymore. We are creatures. Creatures of the night, shout out to us, but we are creatures of comfort now. It's the year 2021, Jack. You don't have to work for dick. And this past year has proved it. You don't have to get off of your couch. You don't even have to put on pants to live a productive, air quotes, productive life. You know what I mean? You can work from home. You can eat from home. You order food. You have your kid, whatever it is. You can stay in your fucking home, and people are more easily controlled when they're not interacting with people, and they're getting in arguments on Twitter, and they're getting all worked up, and they're in our YouTube comments and like, oh, you're a fucking idiot for this and blah, blah, blah. You'd never say that to my face, blah, blah, blah. And then they just order their Grubhub, and then they stay home, and they get on their computer, and they work from home, and then they see the news, and it's like, dun, 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 dun. 47 people are dead because of guns. And like, we gotta fix the guns. Or the virus killed 100 people today in fucking East Alabama. And be like, I didn't even know there were that many people in East Alabama. Oh my God. The whole world is on fire. And then it's just like, if you don't want to die from a fire, buy this. And you're like, oh, of course I'm going to do that. Jeff Bezos, like,
Bezos.
people are that's why that's why the news is the way that it is, man. It's really upsetting.
I think it's even worse. I think it's been exacerbated with this past year of people staying home more than ever before. And hey, we got another call. Somebody else say hey.
Jason.
Hi there.
What's up, guys?
What's up? You're talking to the Creatures of the Night. How's it going? Who are you? Tell everyone your name.
Caleb from the Allbros.
Oh, Caleb.
What's up, Caleb? How you doing, dude?
Damn.
What up?
How's it going, my man?
Oh, it's going, guys.
Shit, yeah.
Been trying to find a place to call in, but you guys
all over the road for you.
Hypnotize.
Yeah, I mean, we're all over the place, and that's when left to our own devices, we will go anywhere and everywhere. Caleb, what can we do for you tonight? What would you like to discuss?
What's on your mind?
Yeah, so you guys have actually been on my mind for a while.
I
So
love you.
a couple episodes
Take my shirt off for you.
back, you guys kind of touched about reincarnation.
Okay.
And that is all I've been thinking about for like a couple weeks.
Common topic for us. Yes.
Yeah. So hit us with a little bit of a hypothesis, because I mean, we're all pretty well versed in the thinking of reincarnation and the different situations in which one could be reincarnated, and the jumping dimensions or jumping in time and things of that nature. So it just give us a quick synopsis of where you're at as far as that is concerned.
All right. So I was raised in the Mormon faith, and something that they teach is that after the second coming of Christ and everyone has been judged and placed in wherever the hell they're going, that everyone receives a seer stone. And this is like the key to all knowledge to help in the creation of your own worlds, or if you just want a question answered or whatever. In an essence, become like a god.
I'm with you.
And sorry.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. You're speaking my language now. I'm perking up. We're in the fourth. we're in the fourth quarter, but I got a second wind. I got fresh legs. Let's go.
So the theory that I've kind of come up with kind of ties in that with what you guys were talking about a couple episodes ago, and that maybe in an extra dimensional form outside of time and space, we're looking through the seer stone, experiencing the life of every being in this dimensional plane, so the third dimension, or like the higher power is actually us, but we're just experiencing the lives of the beings that we created, because what better way to learn than to experience?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then-
Absolutely. I'm definitely with that.
That's a common hypothesis, and I like it. Let me ask a question.
I'm so into that, dude.
Could I assemble 6 of these seer stones into a glove that would like allow me to like
This
flex and fucking punch Captain America right in the goddamn head and just
Dude, so what you're saying is that in a different location, like potentially an alternate dimension, some other place in time and space, you are looking at all of your past lives through this seer stone, but you have to accrue a certain amount of hours working among the. So what you're getting at is that you got to do the grunt work for a little bit. You accrue your 10,000 hours or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Your 10,000 lives, and then you come back, or is it like you live once, then you die, then you get your seer stone?
So there's no one in my church that teaches this. This is something that I've just kind of come up with off the cuff.
Dude, I love it. We fully support you.
Simulation, kind of going off of your thing with like simulations, that
Right.
we could really be like fourth or fifth dimensional creatures, and then the third dimensional form is just like whatever we're experiencing right now is like the avatar that we've selected to experience, and yeah, so you just like kind of experience their life because no two people have the exact same experiences, and to be an all-knowing, all-powerful, or whatever God, you have to know everything.
So you got to learn everything, is what you're
So you
saying.
got to put them
So
hours
you
in.
learn everything,
Yeah.
being
Hey.
going from like person to person, and the only reason that we kind of forget that, like as we move on from life to life, is because like you choose not to remember, because that'd be like playing with like cheat codes.
Right, but
Why can't
there
we
are
have
things.
positive and-
There are things that stick with you, like like a gut instinct. You know what I mean? Maybe those are a couple of things here and there that you drop in on your avatar to kind of like point in a direction, or like you have like maybe throughout each incantation you have like one commonality. Like I really love peanut butter all the way through. Like maybe it's not that mundane, but there's got to be some connective tissue between each incantation that you
Yeah.
have, I believe, right? Like,
Do you think Jeffrey Epstein
Yeah.
was connected? Like every incarnation of him was connected by his love of 14-year-old girls? Like he lived a billion lives, but he's like, every time he come back, he's like, where the 13-year-olds, y'all?
maybe he was also Julius Caesar and he was fucking 14-year-old boys back then. So
Yeah, like
I
he
mean-
got Cleopatra when she was young. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I could see.
let's not get off this topic, because if you start me on Jeffrey Epstein and Julius Caesar and fucking adrenochrome, then this whole fucking shebang is going to go left all over again. We're talking about reincarnation. Chris
Yeah,
Watsky,
I'm
take the wheel.
sorry.
Please take the wheel.
I was just going to say potentially the higher being that was in control of Jeffrey Epstein and whoever you said, Alexander the Great or whatever. Maybe he's just a fucking troll, and he's like, I'm gonna go down to the we'll call it the sim plane, and I'm just gonna fuck shit up. I'm just gonna be a disruption agent. Ever go into GTA and you just stand on a roof and just shoot everybody? You've got no aim, you've got no mission. You're just there to fuck shit up. Maybe
Sounds
those
fun.
are the Jeffrey Epsteins and the Hitlers and the fucking Dahmers, and I mean, the list.
No, I mean, Hitler and Dahmer kind of sounded like they had a plan. You know what I mean?
Potentially. I mean, there's levels to troll games too. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
We're just
But-
spitballing, dude.
No, we're not spitballing about Jeffrey Epstein, interdimensional Jeffrey Epstein, okay?
I'm
We're-
sorry I brought it
We're
up. It's a
spitballing about
conspiracy
being
theory, Scott.
reincarnated, God damn it.
No, I think you're on. I think you're definitely on the right path, at least in terms of what I personally subscribe to. I mean, I believe everything that you say. I'm kind of in line with, and we could be wrong. We could who the hell even knows? But it's what makes the most sense to me.
Right. But I was thinking like the like more of the, I'm trying to think of the words right now.
Dude, you take all of the time you need. You are in a
Something that,
safe place.
Like memory. No, that's something like a memory, or like if you run into someone and you just have like a feeling that you know them from somewhere, even though
That's what that's what I was saying. Like the gut feelings, the deja vu, the things that are kind of like, that the happenstance in life that feels like it happens all the time. Oh, I always have this. I always have event X, or I always feel like I'm safer with person Y, whatever it is. That is the connectivity between the dimensions here, or the incarcerate. You know what the fucking word I'm trying to say, Chris Watsky. God damn it.
You've just referred to the Earth plane as community service. You had to get it 10,000 hours in, and now you just called it incarceration. So I mean, like you really.
I mean, hey, do you feel free, motherfucker? No,
really
you're wearing sleeves and a hat inside. Okay, you are not free.
I have a bad hairline and my arms aren't great. So you know what? We do what we can.
Doesn't sound like freedom to me. God damn it.
I had a thought there, and you escaped it.
This Uncle Randy.
So where do you, can you enlighten us to what a seer stone is? Like, because I'm not familiar. I mean, I understand a little bit of what it is, but I don't have a very great understanding. Can you just elaborate it for our listeners and for myself as well?
Good question.
Right. So a seer stone is just kind of a key to unlocking whatever, anything you want to know, anything you want to experience, anything, like it's just a key to knowledge.
So it's kind of like the Akashic records.
Really.
I was literally just going to say that. I was going to say, a person like Amy would be a receptor to tap into that. But if you don't have that ability, like a person like Amy does, then you basically have this seer stone, kind of like an iPhone that can tap into the cloud the same way that she can.
Right. But I don't
not to
think it'd
dumb
be
it down.
anything on this plane of existence. I think it'd be something in like a fourth or fifth dimension.
Right.
Yeah, of course. Like tapping into the Akashic record, maybe the Akashic records and having a seeing stone, seer stone, are one and the same. It's just one of those things, like God or Allah. Like you just call it whatever it is to you.
I was kind of thinking that, like, maybe seer stone is like how you connect the Akashic records. The Akashic records is like a Wikipedia. It's like a website, right? It doesn't have to be a physical library, and you just use this thing the way we use a iPhone or a laptop to just connect, and you jack in, and now you're reading all the books about all the different various incarnations of the world and shit.
Now, you said that you grew up in the Mormon faith, correct? Am I remembering correctly? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so, is there any folklore tied to the seer stone? I mean, other than if I'm correct, I believe it was John Smith found the seer stones.
So that was it's Joseph.
Joseph. I'm sorry.
He was given. It was more of like a translator.
Okay.
For him, because he wasn't educated as a child, so it was more like a beta version or a demo to help him translate the scripture that he found.
Okay, so the seer stone, it works the same for everyone. You just have to know what to look for. The same way that you can find episodes of SpongeBob or the nuclear codes on the internet, you just have to dig deep enough. You have to know what to look for.
Where to go, yeah.
Right. Like I think he might have had one that was just like stuck on Google Translate.
Right.
Because he was translating scripture from like ancient Hebrew. And I think like it had a different name. I'm forgetting it right now. I'm not a very good church going folk.
No. It's quite all right, man. We just want to get as much information as we can about this because, like I said, I am painfully uneducated in faith. It's long overdue, I guess, in my life. But my sisters are Mormon, actually. And I've never had a conversation with them about it. So it's very interesting to see, so what you're saying is that everyone gets a seer stone. So your hypothesis is that we're living in a simulation. Like when we boil it down to brass tacks here, you're saying that we're living in a simulation.
Right.
Okay.
It's more like we're fourth, fifth, whatever dimensional creatures experiencing the lives of these third dimensional creatures.
Yeah, not like a simulation like in the traditional sense, like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. This is like, like I feel what you're saying. Like we're something more, we're something higher than this, and this is just our way of learning what we need to know.
Right. Exactly.
I'm with it, and I'm with keeping little bits of blueprints stored, like maybe in our DNA. Like I mean, there's some, I don't know. I hate to be cliche and say, oh, well, everything happens for a reason. And like, I'm where I'm supposed to be and da da da. But I mean, like, to a degree, I kind of feel that way. I feel like this is kind of a ride and you might have the illusion of free will, but I mean, like, you're doing what you're supposed to do on this ride. I mean, like, there's a reason why I can, begrudgingly start an internet radio program and through, navigating that, find these two guys and feel like, we've known each other forever. And now I've got two of, my closest friends. Like, these guys are my brothers. And like, we've only actually been in the same physical space 3 fucking times, like there's a reason that we have been placed together. At least I believe so. It's not just a bunch of random shit that happened.
Yeah. I feel like that, like, to add to that, Chris, like sometimes things in life happen that you don't enjoy the experience of as they're happening. I'm talking about like if you've ever been laid off from a job, if you've ever been like broken up with or something like that, you're thinking like, my whole world is ending. This girl just dumped me or whatever. This relationship didn't work out, or I got fired from this job, or all of these bad things can happen that can make you feel panicked at the moment. But then some months later, you'll have a better job, or you'll be dating somebody else that you're even more compatible with. And you'll look back and you'll be like, wow, it's actually a really good thing that I got shit canned from this job, because my job right now is so much better. So it's an amazing thing that in the moment it can feel so negative, but then looking back with a little bit of perspective of time, that you can now realize that this thing that felt so awful is a good thing for me. And that, I think, lends credence to your idea that maybe like this path that we're on is part of like, there's something going on there, that there's some like build up or something like that. I dig it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I had a thought and I completely forgot it, which is
it's like seeing the forest through the trees.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say, Jason. I can speak for myself, but when I've personally gone through the biggest adversity in my life, that's typically when I turn it on and I find that extra gear that I didn't think that I could accomplish. The shit that I needed to accomplish. Like you're saying, when you lose the job, I found out that I was having my first kid when I was unemployed. You know what I mean? Like that's a fucked up, time to find out that you're going to be a fucking dad, and shit like that is usually what spurs you to, to get it done. At least for me. I don't know.
It's the call to greatness, it's that call to like, you gotta dust your shit off and get out there and like snap some necks and cash some checks, Damn
right. Is there anything else in your theory that you would like to elaborate while we have you here?
Honestly, I'm still trying to figure it out myself. So,
well, I think that's true of all of us, my friend.
Yeah, dude. I mean, welcome to the club, bro. You have a way to speak to us. I mean, you're in our Twitter DMs all the time, and that you can contact each and every one of us personally.
You can get at me whenever, dog.
Yeah, for real. I'm always here to fucking spitball ideas. If you want, I mean, we can even start a fucking group chat and turn a whole episode out on this, dude. Because that's pretty much all we do.
Yeah, hell yeah.
We find a topic, we find a couple of topics, and then we just kind of spitball. And then we take down some notes, and then we rehash out things. And then sometimes DB Cooper is Barron Trump, and sometimes 9/11 was an inside job. Like,
we find a topic, we research it, we talk to experts, and then we shit all over it.
That's 100% correct. And that's why.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we are who we are. Dude, thank you so much. Everyone, please go listen to the All Bros. What are your social media handles so that people can contact you and kind of elaborate on this plan for you?
Yeah, well, we're a movie review podcast, but you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search at the All Bros.
Hell yeah.
Cool. All right. Well,
yeah.
All right, Sea-Dog.
Thank you for hearing me out, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Love you to death, dude. We appreciate the call. Thanks for hanging out. And again, please hit us up. We're always down to talk interdimensional shit, especially Chris and I.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's my brand.
I'll hold the camera.
The problem is not talking about it too much so that people will stop talking to you in this existence. That's what I'm thinking. I got to shut up about it. I talk about it too much.
Thanks, dude.
I gotta
Yeah,
take
thank you.
DMT just to find somebody who'll talk to me.
Well, that's what we're here.
Hey, while we were on there, we got a voicemail message.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Oh, excellent.
All right, I'm finally home, boys. So this is Dr. Zeus, and I'm calling.
Finally.
And say I was coming through the gate, and I said to him, "Hey, you went to Area 51, didn't you?" "Yeah." "Tell me about it." "I can't tell you. It's classified." So I'm not trying to hypnotize him or get it out of him. There are stories about his time in Nam that I know about, and I am not allowed to talk about them. So, I will say though, when it comes to conspiracy theories, nobody in my family really is. Mostly the military people. I mean, there's a conspiracy theory about Alcatraz. My grandfather worked at Alcatraz, and he was even interviewed about the break-in or when they escaped in 1962, and he said they're fish food. So yeah, I have double agents in my family. So that's all I'm saying. All right, creatures of the night. Yeah, and over. I'm just kidding. Good night.
How's Dr. Zeus?
I think he's got a fucking interesting family. Like
He
my
does.
grandpa
It's full of fucking ops.
my dad was at fucking Area 51 and nobody will talk about it. So since we can't actually talk about Area 51 because no one will actually tell us about it, I want to ask you two gentlemen, because this thought just occurred to me. If you went to Area 51 like Zeus's dad did, I don't know, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, whatever, how on earth, what would the government have to do to keep you silent 30 years later, 40 years later, when you're retired and you're out? How do they keep you quiet? How do you keep that secret so many years later?
That military benefits package better be fucking primo. I better be getting a couple extra dollars on the top and new teeth every fucking 15 years. I don't want to have to pay for glasses. And if I want to go get my kids' ears checked, I don't want to have to pay for fucking shit. And maybe around Christmas time, they send me one of them little fucking USO packages. You know what I'm saying?
Hells yeah.
Just a nice little severance package. Just keep me going. You know what I mean? I don't want anything crazy. Just a couple extra dollars. And, I don't want to get denied for a fucking loan. Anytime they just, all right, you're good. Mr. Simmons, I'll see you later. You have a great afternoon.
I think you're dreaming. I don't think you get any of that. I don't think
so either.
I think you get the opportunity to be quiet or to speak. And if you speak, I think your car inexplicably accelerates into a tree on how.
Well, that's why you don't drive one that's got a computer inside of it, Chris Watsky.
That's why I ride a bicycle.
Hey, they'll hit you on a bike, dude.
And then you get hit with a Tesla.
Yeah.
So I think I'm more with Chris. Like, I think it's got to be, because 50 years, 40 years is a long time to keep a secret. And there's a lot of assholes like us that just want to pull them secrets right out of you live on a podcast. So I got to think that they got something on you, because it's not just money. Everyone's got a price. Some media company would pay you buku dollars more than the government's giving you to tell your story. So I think it's something else. I think it's like maybe once a year on your birthday, they send a picture of your kids and then your grandkids like playing in the backyard or whatever, just to remind you, motherfucker, we got eyes on you.
So it's the opposite.
What do you think about a guy like Bob Lazar? That was,
I was literally just going to bring that up. What about Bob Lazar? He doesn't give a fuck anymore.
He's breathing. I don't know. Maybe they don't got nothing on Bob Lazar.
Maybe he's allowed to talk his shit because they need a certain amount of that to be out there so that it doesn't it's more believable when they bust out a false flag like Will Smith and them.
That's my dog.
Bill Paxton hanging out outside of the White House like, there are aliens up there. We gonna get them.
So you think that they know about Bob Lazar? Obviously they know about Bob Lazar, but you think that maybe that was something that they dripped out on purpose? Like, let's put him out of the world. Let him do his thing.
I mean, every once in a while, you got to let one of the fishes free. You know what I'm saying? So you can populate trout out into the fucking open. You know what I mean? Yeah. So maybe he's just there as an agent to kind of like trickle out a little bit of information, maybe start up, or maybe even be one of those distracting agents, because it had us talking for fucking 6 months.
Or
You
even
know?
too, I mean, like to get people to discredit it, because if you mention Bob Lazar, you mention aliens, you mention Area 51, you automatically in certain circles get, pushed over here. You get put in that box. You're one of those, like I can't talk to you about real life shit because you believe, woo boo,
Yeah.
So you
That's something I wanted to mention earlier, actually, because I think years ago it was okay. People would look at you kind of like you were a nut, but it was okay to be a conspiracy theorist. I think these days, very recently, within the last year or two, QAnon followers are a big reason for this. But now, if you're into conspiracies and you question certain parts of the narrative, then you're not just kind of a nutty cuckoo bird. You're now like part of this alt-right seditionist conspiracy that's quite likely tied to white nationalism and bigotry. So if you spout out some weird idea like, I want to wait a little while before I take my COVID vaccine, wait a minute. Are you saying that you believe that the white race is the best? And I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't say that. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you said you didn't want to take the vaccine, which translates in subtitles at the bottom of my screen into, I hate everybody that's not white. Is that what you're saying? And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just trying to be careful. I'm just trying to wait. I'm trying to get more data before I make a decision that could potentially affect my life. And they're like, whatever, bigot. And I'm all like, okay. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
I think there's a bigger war going on here, Jason, that you and I don't even have the grasps at. They're fighting over our eternal souls, Jason.
So we just got to be good people, man. I think that's what you
got to do. Your best. Keep your fucking head down.
But that's why they push the fear agenda, because when we're afraid, they feed off that shit. They feed off. It's Monsters Inc., dude. They feed off that shit.
I love it. Boys, that's a great place to fucking end this. We could pick this up at a later date. Christian Watsky, Jason Almy, please tell me and the people that are listening where they can find you on the internet if they want to talk more silly shit.
You can find me at Party Naked Pod on all the socials, at Jason Almy on all the socials. My podcast, Shit Happens When You Party Naked, was recently taken behind a Patreon paywall because I was offending too many sensitive bitches. What I would like to invite you guys to do is please come listen to Shit Happens When You Party Naked on our Patreon, patreon.com/Team Almy. You can find all of the episodes, both old and future episodes there. I appreciate you and love you. Chris, where can everybody find you, my friend?
I am one half of the hashtag No Offense Show. My wife and I get together on a semi-regular basis to try to make you laugh and talk to you about our mundane lives. You can find us at HTNOS on all the socials, htnos.com if you're so inclined. And we would love it if you stopped by and had a beer with us.
Oh, yeah.
Adam Simmons.
Hey, bud. I am one third of the Simmons and More podcast. Go to sampc.bigcartel.com. Go to simmonsandmore.com. And you can find me at Earth_2_Adam. But more importantly, go to NPN.com. Follow us on the Creatures and all social media platforms. And stay spooky, you bad motherfuckers. Please, by all means, let's get fucking weird. We fucking love you. Mwah. Big kiss, bitches.
Official.com, OHFISHO. Buy some motherfucking t-shirts. Code Creature, save 25%.
I'm giving you a night call to tell you how I feel. I want to drive you through the night, down the hills.